الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So as we continue discussing in this series the book Talkhis Nukhbatul Fikr, so of those of the Mashaykh who have made a summary of the book of Nukhbatul Fikr by Al-Hafiz Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani alayhi wa rahmatullah tabarak ta'ala. And we have reached in this series, we're discussing with the author, he discusses concerning matters pertaining to as-saqt fil isnad. So matter that relates to saqt fil isnad, so of the category of hadith is said to be daif, of the reason why hadith may be deemed to be weak, or of the reason behind hadith being classed as weak, that there's a saqt fil isnad. So there's a saqt, a form where there's a breakage in the isnad. So he discussed different types of breakage that occur in the isnad, where of those are said to be zahir, those are more jali, that they're more apparent, they're more known and easy to detect. And he mentioned of those concerning, then he mentioned those type of saqt that will occur in the isnad of that type. So he discussed concerning hadith that he mentioned hadith al-Mursal, hadith of al-Munqata, hadith al-Mu'dal, hadith al-Mu'allaq. So these are said to be hadith that the saqt is somewhat more apparent and more easy to detect. Then he discussed after this that this type of saqt also that occur in the isnad, where he discusses matter concerning as-saqt al-Khafi. So a type of breakage in isnad that are said to be khafi. So of those types that he mentioned in Qita al-Khafi, he mentioned two categories that fall into this. First, al-Mudallis or Tadlis, and we have discussed at-Tadlis in 3 sessions. So the first we discussed at-Tadlis, but we have Tadlis al-Shuyukh. The second, we cover Tadlis at-Taswiyah. And third, we discuss Tadlis al-Shuyukh. So those are concerned different categories of Tadlis. Then today we'll be discussing Mursal al-Khafi. So Al-Mursal al-Khafi would be the second category of those hadith or those isnad that have a saqt and have a breakage, but it is one which is khafi, is one which is hidden. So with this now discussion, that will be what we'll be discussing as the ulama have outlined concerning matters pertaining to Al-Mursal al-Khafi. So also in this talkhis they mention concerning Al-Mursal al-Khafi as being the second type of breakage that is considered to be hidden that occurs in the isnad. So by this inshallah ta'ala we'll be covering concerning first regarding Al-Mursal al-Khafi, that when they discuss concerning this topic, of the first thing I understand concerning what is said to be Al-Mursal and also Al-Khafi, what is intended by these two words. So Al-Mursal, that what is intended by Mursal in this context, that Mursal, as they mentioned concerning that, al-inqita, mutlaq. So any form of inqita, so Mursal will take the meaning of al-inqita, that any form of breakage that occurs in the isnad. Wal khafi, so it is not, so it is breakage that breakage that occur in the isnad. And the second, al-khafi, it is something which is hidden. So something which is somewhat, it is hidden. So this is what is intended regarding concerning Al-Mursal al-Khafi. So Mursal al-Inqita, so Umum al-Inqita, so general breakage that occurs in Isnad at any point in Isnad, and also it is not specific to any particular place in the Isnad. So general Inqita in the Isnad. And as for al-Khafi, Yasamma concern, they said al-Khafi, it is something which is hidden, but the ulama mentioned concerning that the reason why they said to be al-Khafi, that between the narrators, the sheikh and the teacher, between these two particular narrators, that there's mu'asara, that both of them are contemporaries. At times it may be al-liqa, that both of them actually met. Then they mentioned that, but so there's that is involved, which is both were of the same time period, both were contemporaries. They might have met somewhat, but then there was no, so that's why it become khafi. That in cases of those, that a person might conclude that most likely that they have met, but in this case they didn't. So both were around the same time, possibility of them meeting. So that is concerning why it is to be khafi. because of that possibility that person might believe that they have met, even though that's not the case. So that's concerning what is meant by Al-Mursal al-Khafi. Mursal al-Khafi, as we have explained, as what is intended by this. So that's concerning explaining those words. As for what ulama, when they use the word hadith, Al-Mursal al-Khafi, what do they intend by this? Why they intend by this? So Al-Mursal al-Khafi, that they have explained concerning the meaning, you have a few definitions that are given. So a few definitions that are given by the ulama as defining hadith Mursal al-Khafi. So of those definitions that they give regarding hadith al-Mursal al-Khafi, that first definition that is mentioned, that they state an yarwi ar-rawi an man asaru, that a narrator that who is a that a person that both are of the same time, walam yalqahu, but did not meet him, bisiga tuham annahu samya minhu. So both people who are contemporaries. So he mentioned a rawi with another narrator, both are contemporaries of the same time, around the same time period, but lam yalqa, that he did not meet him. So even though at the same time, but both did not meet each other. But they narrate him, but they give the impression in the narration that is how it is mentioned as if they met, that are using narration that give the possibility, that give the meaning of they could have met or they did not. So they give that meaning, يحتمل, that they consider أنه سمع منه, that it give the meaning as if he heard from him or may not have. So that's concerning what is mentioned regarding hadith al-Mursal al-Khafi. So again, an yarwi rawi amman asarahu, so a narrator to narrate upon a person that was of his contemporaries, but he did not meet him, but he narrate upon him as if he that could take the meaning as if he heard from him or not heard from him. That's after the definition that are given by some of the ulama. So with this definition that they mentioned, that of the thing that they mentioned, one, that both were contemporaries. Second, but there was no meeting, direct meeting, so they did not hear from each other because they didn't actually met each other. But when they narrate on each other, one narrate upon the other, he give the impression as if he could have met, that he heard from him or did not hear from him. So it could go, so that's of the definition that is mentioned. Another second definition is given, an yarwi rawi amman asarahu wa laqiyahu. That's the second definition that is mentioned by the ulama, that a person who was a contemporary of another, they have the same time period, wa laqiyahu, and both of them met each other, walam yasma minhu, but did not hear anything from him, They mentioned that hadithan bisigat tahtamil as-sama, and he used wordings that could indicate that give them the possibility that give the meaning as if he may have heard from him or did not hear from him. So he used wordings when he narrate upon that person as if it could go as if he heard him, or it could go the way that he didn't hear from him. So that is referred to that's the of the definition given of hadith al-Mursal al-Khafi. So again, an yarwi rawi amman asarahu, that a narrator narrates upon a person who is contemporary, both of them at the same time, walaqiyahu, and also he met him, so there's meeting that occurred between both, ma lam yasma minhu, but he didn't hear anything from him. So even though they met, they did not per se, he didn't hear anything from that particular person. But when he narrates upon him, he used wording that could go this way as if it seems, could be taken as if he heard from him, or could be understood or taken as if he did not hear from him. So that's concerning of the definition given of another definition given of hadith al-Mursal al-Khafi. The third definition that is mentioned by some of the ulama, they mention an yarwi ar-rawi, that a narrator narrate a hadith, the narration amman asarahu, and someone that he met of his same time, a contemporary of his, walaqiyahu, and also he met him, wasamya minhu, and he heard from him, hadithan, or from a hadith, but he lam yasmahu minhu, he narrate hadith upon him that he did not hear from him. So, and also again use wordings that could be taken as if he heard from him, or could be taken as he did not hear from him. So that's the third definition of a hadith al-Mursal al-Khafi. So again, they mentioned an yarwi ar-rawi amman asarahu, that a narrator narrates upon a person that was of his contemporary, of the both of them are at the same time contemporaries. وَلَقِيَهُ, and he met him in person, they met physically. وَسَمِعَ مِنْهُ hadithan, and he heard hadith, and he heard from the people, but he narrate hadith upon him that he did not hear. And he used wordings that could be taken as he heard or he did not hear from him. So those are the definition that I mentioned by the ulama of hadith regarding hadith al-Mursal al-Khafi. So overall, regarding what they mentioned regarding concerning what is the more correct view, that of those who mentioned that the correct view of this, they mentioned that huwa riwayat al-rawi, that a narrator narrates upon a person amman asarahu, and a person that was of his contemporaries, walam yalqahu, and he did not meet him, but there was no meeting between, wala sami'a minhum, and he didn't hear from him, or amman laqiyahu, or someone that he met, walam yasma minhu, but he did not hear from him, bilafdhin yahtamil as-sama wa adam, that he used wording that could indicate, that could be taken as he heard from him or he did not. So that's considered al-an, qal, so those type of wording. So wording that will give that mean, that will go as word that could go both ways, and qal, those type of wordings. So what is said to be the correct or the understanding of what is hadith al-Mursal al-Khafi would be the meaning mentioned of the definition, which is the first and the second. So as we mentioned that, so putting both together would be what is said to be hadith al-Mursal. And the third definition would go what they mentioned as hadith al-Tadlis. The third definition will fall under the category of hadith al-Tadlis. As for the first and the second, then that will be considered to be hadith Mursal al-Khafi. But even though of the ulama who are more inclined, as Ibn Hajar is more inclined to the first definition, where it mentioned that the person was contemporary of a person, but they did not meet. But he narrates upon him using words that could be taken as if he heard from him, or could be understood that he did not hear from him. Such as we said, using the word an and the likes. So that's concerning that type of, those are what is said regarding hadith al-Mursal al-Khafi. Then so that's concerning the first point. So the first point is what is said to be hadith al-Khafi, or hadith Mursal al-Khafi. So overall, as it mentioned that, again, the definition, the final definition will be a narrator yarwi amman asarahu, a narrator narrates upon something that was of his contemporaries, walam yalqahu, he did not meet him, or amman laqiyahu, or someone that he met, walam yasma minhu, but did not hear from him. Someone that he met but did not hear from him. Bilafdhin yahtamil as-sama wa adami, and using words that could be taken as if he did hear or could go as he didn't hear, such as al-an wa qal, that need to be investigated further. So that's concerning what is mentioned as hadith al-Mursal al-Khafi. Hadith Mursal al-Khafi by way of definition. Then a discussion between the ulama regarding what is said to be, what's the difference then between hadith al-Tadlis, or between al-Tadlis wa irsal al-Khafi. What's the difference between both? Tadlis that we have covered before, and second, what we're covering now, hadith Mursal or irsal al-Khafi. So based upon the definition, as we said, that the difference between both is that hadith between Tadlis and irsal al-Khafi, that with both individual, in both cases a narrator who narrates upon someone that was of his contemporaries, that they were of contemporaries. So both were people of the same time, but then they and the person may have met, but so with hadith al-Tadlis, they are contemporaries, a person that he met in person and narrate upon him, but at times he will narrate upon him hadith that he did not hear from him. That is a Tadlis. So Tadlis, they are contemporaries, teacher wa sheikh, both of the same time. They met each other. one heard from the other. But the one that heard it, the student, he at times may narrate a hadith upon a sheikh that he did not hear from him. Then that is tadlis. As for Mursal al-Khafi, then it is where both were at the same time. They may have met, but the person did not hear any hadith from him. But he may narrate upon him using words that one may be confused whether he heard or did not hear from him. So that's the difference between both. So both were at the same time, but in some that and they differ regarding hearing and meeting that person. So that's concerning, and even Hajar alayhi rahmatullah ta'ala, they made a distinction regarding hadith, made a distinction between both, where at some of the ulama of hadith, that at times that they may include al-irsal al-khafi as a form of or within included dakhilun fi tadlis. So of the ulama, that they may include, of the ulama who include hadith irsal al-khafi, mursal al-khafi within of what is said to be tadlis. And those who distinguish between both, make a clear distinction between both. But of those who may include mursal al-khafi within what is said to be tadlis. But then of those who make a distinction, so Ibn Hajar and those who came after, that they make that clear distinction between both. So the next point that is discussed regarding concerning hadith, al-Mursal al-Khafi, that next matter mentioned mithal. What are examples of this? What are example of this? So of examples that they mentioned regarding this matter, hadith in the Abu Dawood as-Sijistani in the Sunan, من طريق إبراهيم التيمي عن عائشة أن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام قبلها ولم يتوضأ. So this hadith من طريق إبراهيم التيمي عن عائشة رضي الله عنها أن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام قبلها ولم يتوضأ. The Prophet عليه السلام, that he kissed Aisha and did not perform wudu, did not renew his wudu. Abu Dawood, when he mentioned hadith, قال هو hadith mursal. He said this hadith is mursal. Ibrahim at-Taymi, as Ibrahim Taymi, lam yasma min Aisha, as Ibrahim Taymi did not hear this hadith from Aisha. But your first hadith as mursal. So this hadith as mursal. So that so the ulama mentioned Ibrahim at-Taymi قد أدرك Aisha, that Ibrahim at-Taymi that he was after a contemporary of Aisha. ولكن ليس له منها سماع, but he did not hear from her. So a person who was during the time a contemporary of Aisha, but did not hear from her. So they mentioned this is hadith Mursal al-Khafi. So both were contemporaries of the same time. They did not meet, but he narrated upon her, use the word an Aisha. So the word an of those words that did he hear from her or not. But so that is considered to be, so Abu Dawood, he mentioned huwa mursal. So he can somewhat clarify this hadith is mursal, that of this case where between mursal regarding, not mursal as we know it before, or mentioned before, mursal where a tabi'i narrated upon the Prophet Islam, that's not this case of mursal. So what he intends by al-mursal, a more broader meaning, fi inqita, a form of breakage occur, where it is mursal al-khafi, where Ibrahim at-Taymi and Aisha, Ibrahim was of the contemporaries of Aisha, but he did not hear from her. But it's mentioned as mursal. So understanding the language of the ulama, when they use these terms, mursal, where at times it could, as become more used in a particular way, but before of the ulama, they use it in a more broader way. There's a broader meaning with them. So that's concerning an example of hadith al-Mursal al-Khafi. Mursal al-Khafi. Then I mentioned turuq, marifati, irsal al-Khafi. How does a person go about distinguishing or being able to identify that irsal al-Khafi have occurred in the isnad? How can one detect this? So they mentioned regarding concerning this method that it is done, where it is something can be done by the ulama. The ulama that mentioned so, due to the following ways of detecting irsal al-khafi. So the following ways in which the ulama that one can detect that there's irsal al-khafi. One of them mentioned an-nas ahad min al-nuqad. That one of the ulama, kibar ulama of hadith of the past, that have mentioned that this is the case. So something that has been mentioned or stated by one of the ulama al-kibar, that this rawi lam yasma mimman yarwi an, that this person did not hear from the person that is narrating on. And also, he didn't meet him. So he mentioned that he didn't hear, nor did both meet each other. So that's of the ulama who somewhat mentioning and stating this. So I mentioned that the example for Abu Dawood stating regarding, so Abu Dawood clarifying regarding that, or the ulama clarifying regarding that, Ibrahim at-Taymi did not hear from Aisha, but he met her. So clarifying this by way of the ulama. As Abu Dawood, he stated this. A second method of knowing this, they mention an example again regarding concerning another example, Abu Hatim al-Razi, قول أبو هاتم الرازي لم لقي إبراهيم النخعي أحد من أصحاب نبي عليه السلام, that Ibrahim al-Nakhai did not meet any of the companions of the Prophet عليه السلام. So none of so then they mention that إلا عائشة ولم يسمع منها شيء, plus he met Aisha but did not hear anything from her. So he did not meet any, Ibrahim al-Nakhai did not meet any of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ except for Aisha, but in that case of Aisha, he did not hear from her. So it mentioned that, so this is Ibrahim, then he mentioned فَإِنَّهُ دَخْلَ عَلَيْهَا وَهُوَ صَغِيرٌ, that what happened of his meeting with Aisha, that Ibrahim al-Nakhai, that he met her when he was a child. وَأَدْرَكْ أَنَس وَلَمْ يَسْمَ مِنْهُ, and he mentioned, and also Anas. Then he mentioned وَأَدْرَكْ أَنَس وَلَمْ يَسْمَ مِنْهُ, and also he met Anas but did not hear anything from him. So Ibrahim al-Nakhai, regarding concerning narrator of the Sahaba, then understand that irsal akhi have occurred. Irsal al-Khafi have occurred, where he met some of the Sahaba, of them in this case Aisha, and also Anas, but did not hear from them. So that's one of the ulama kibar identifying and clarifying to us that this individual, this narrator, did not meet this other narrator. A second way of detecting and yukhbir al-rawi, where the narrator himself that is mentioning that he did not meet this person. So something, nor hear from that person. So him saying that I did not meet this person, nor did I hear from this person. Meaning here a hadith from this person. Then they mention of cases of this, they mention that لقول Abi Ubaid ibn Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. So they mention Abi Ubaidah ibn Abdullah ibn Mas'ud لما سئل, when he was asked, أتذكر من أبيك شيء, أتذكر, that do you recall anything from your father? قال لا. So he's saying that he did not hear or mention anything from his, or met or heard anything from his father. So it shows when the narrator himself clarifying that I didn't hear anything by way of hadith from this other narrator. A third case, a third method of knowing this dimension is by looking at concerning tarajum bayna al-rawat. So looking at the biography of the narrator regarding this particular narrator with this one. Did they met? They of the same? Are they contemporaries? What did they meet? So looking at the biography of the narrator, what's the relation between these two? Were any meeting took place? Were they contemporaries? Did he hear from this other narrator? So knowing the biography of each narrator, that one can detect that this person, that did they meet or not meet. So you might find a narrator, two narrators, they are contemporaries, but they are from two different cities or areas. So two narrators, both from different areas or region, and it is not known that both of these narrators that they traveled. So it is not known that both of these narrators that they traveled, but they are contemporaries of the same time period, but also they live separate places. But also with this, that is not known that these narrator, that they traveled, or that is one went to this other place of the other. So there's no a recording of them traveling and the possibility of them meeting each other. So with this, it becomes more difficult for them, that so one can be more reassured that they didn't hear from each other, because there's no recording of them traveling for the possibility of them meeting, because they were from separate cities that were far apart. So that's concerning of ways of knowing, said the history of the narrator and the biography of the narrator. And they mention also that could be by a method regarding concern a narrator, that by knowing regarding concern, that when he narrates, that you find narration that indicates that there's a wasita, that there's a person between him and that person, but not direct narration from person A to person C. So there's nothing that indicates that there have some narration from person A to person C, but it is known that through other narrations, that person A and person C, there's normally a person B in between. So normally someone in between both, not both hearing directly from each other. So that is known by way of other narration. That person A, narrator A, and narrator B, narrator C do not hear directly. They normally transmission between person B who's in between. So that's concerning knowing of the wasita, if one can affirm this, if this can be affirmed. So those are the ways of detecting or knowing, ways of knowing regarding irsal al-Khafi. As for now, hukum irsal al-Khafi. What's the hukum regarding irsal al-Khafi? So the ulama have clarified regarding irsal al-Khafi. So irsal al-Khafi, they mentioned that hukum irsal al-Khafi, al-Mursal al-Khafi, min hadith al-Daif. So it's considered to be one of the types of hadith al-Daif, by way of inqita, by way of there's a breakage in the isnad. So this is considered, so it is considered to be because those two narrators that did not meet, there's a breakage in the isnad, where there's it's considered to be hadith al-Daif, as there's inqita, a breakage that have occurred inside within the isnad. So that's concerning, but also it have those type of hadith ad-daif, that is munjabar. So even though it is hadith ad-daif, but of hadith which is daif, munjabar, where it is still able, can be assisted or supported by other hadith that are similar, and raised to the elevate and raised to hadith al-maqbul. So hadith ad-daif is not a severe weakness if the matter revolves around irsal al-Khafi. It as a act, it is considered to be hadithun daif, but not severe weakness. So a daif laysa bi-shadid, or daif al-yasir, it's a slight weakness in the hadith. Then they discuss, so in ending or discussing this matter, that of the thing that they mentioned regarding the ulama, that and some have mentioned the books of contemporaries, that musannifat, musannifat. So books that have been written, or a musannifat fi irsal al-Khafi. Are there any books specific on this topic? Are there any books specific on this topic that it is stated that regarding concerning of it will be discussed as the ulama within the discussion of hadith at-tadlis? So you might find that discussion, that those books that discuss concerning hadith at-tadlis, that at times they may include this discussion. But as for a specific book that have been mentioned specific on hadith al-Mursal or irsal al-Khafi, that it is mentioned, but that it is mentioned at al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, that al-Khatib al-Hafiz, al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, who died 463 al-Hijri. So Khatib al-Baghdadi, who died 463 al-Hijri, it is stated that he wrote a book on this topic. But I mentioned that book is mafqud. That book is not with us. So that book is somewhat lost at the moment, considered to be of those books that are lost. So Ibn Salah have stated, and others, regarding al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, that authored a book that he called Tafsil. So the book is called Tafsil fi Mubham al-Marasil. So it is التفصيل لمبهم المراسيل, and that is written by Khatib al-Baghdadi alayhi rahmatullahi tabarak ta'ala. Then also, so that's concerning of those books that I mentioned, but that book is considered to be mafqud, or the book is said to be lost. And as we had, the ulama have mentioned, Khatib al-Baghdadi have written a lot in the field of ilm al-hadith, and a lot of topics, individual topics. A lot of these topics, he have written books, specific topic-led books, and most of these topics. Then they mention also that, it comes that also of like a contemporary of one of the al-bahith, a contemporary that have written on this topic, or one of the doctor, or one of the professors who have written on this topic, who is the top of the book is called Al-Mursal al-Khafi wa alaqatuhu bit-tadlis. Al-Mursal al-Khafi wa alaqatuhu bit-tadlis. And that written by a doctor, Ustad al-Doctor Hatim ibn Hatim ibn Arif al-Awni. Hatim ibn Arif al-Awni. I've written like a university thesis on this particular topic, that so where in the topic, and I mentioned as a state al-Mursal al-Khafi wa alaqatuhu bit-tadlis, that Mursal al-Khafi and its relationship with hadith at-tadlis. So with that, inshallah ta'ala, would be what is mentioned regarding this particular topic, which is the topic of Irsal al-Mursal al-Khafi, that as we stated and as mentioned, that of those hadith categories that are considered to be al-Inqita al-Khafi. So there's a breakage, but it's somewhat which is a slight, hidden breakage in isnad that requires some investigation to detect it. So it is considered. So with this, inshallah ta'ala, we have covered concerning of what they mentioned, that al-Inqita fil isnad, that of the ways, asbab, reason, where hadith is considered to be daif due to atan inqita fil isnad, that we have covered al-mu'allaq, mursal, mu'dal, hadith al-munqata', and also we have covered in this concern hadith at-tadlis wa hadith al-mursal al-khafi. So those are what is discussed in this topic regarding hadith ad-daif due to al-inqita fil isnad. With this, inshallah ta'ala, we'll end this session. وبالله تعالى توفيق وهادي إلى السبيل والآخرة والحمد لله العالمين.